Welcome to the So Far So Rare podcast. This week I was joined by Rob Marshall and we talked about absolutely everything. There was so much. There was issues in Game Week 258 on SoRare. There was obviously releases of new cards. There was a nice marketing push, a nice documentary. We talked about loaning. Is it ethically correct? We talked about XP on cards. Should you buy old cards, buy new cards? And there was some tool on YouTube charging for memberships that we had a laugh about and discussed that. We answered loads of your questions. Please do like the video so you don't forget and subscribe to the 1:37 p.m. YouTube channel. Enjoy the podcast. Rob, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. There's a few really interesting things personally from your SoRare journey to talk about. There's a lot that's happened this week. There's some cash grabbing bastard on YouTube as well we need to speak about, and lots of great questions. So first off, you joined. I'm going to call you a boomer. Well, hey, we should get a boom noise, Emily, by the way. We should make like a boomer noise. Let's sort that out. Lots of people are. You joined on the 26th of March, and you are the manager of Rob Marshall 19, hashtag UTL's gallery. It looks like you're a loyal. We've had a few of your type on before. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
No, it'd be good fun.
Yeah, no, I've joined. I am a boomer, but I'm a very unique boomer, as I had no idea who Gary V was. That didn't really get me into it. Joined, had a look, didn't understand crypto, left it alone, and then came back. After FI went down. Was kind of looking for something to that I could make money off my own football knowledge and kind of have a look for somewhere that other people aren't looking in terms of SoRare. So for me, that was kind of naturally Asia. It was just kind of starting at that time in February, March sort of time. So I'd recently come back from Japan. I was there in 2019. Absolutely loved it. Bought myself a couple of jerseys and thought Asia is probably the place for me to get into.
Yeah, no, I think Asia is a great one, and it's like a lot of people I see. What I love about it is like you, Hoodwink, and there's a load of other people I see who are like they're from nowhere near Asia. They don't speak any Asian languages. I'm assuming you don't. Maybe you do, but they're like diehard Asian football fans, and it's amazing. And that is just the beauty of SoRare, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I have my teams. I've got I think I have 4 or 5 jerseys now from different teams. And some more expensive than others to get here. Some you can get on classic football shirts. Some like this one I'm wearing is the Gamba one from last season. Absolutely loved it. And you have to pay import tax and all that sort of stuff. So
oh man,
the cost
get SoRare Japan to sort you out. Yeah. He should. I think he was sending them out to people before. I did something with him, a video, and like you want to see his like room. It's insane the amount of jerseys he has. Yeah.
No, there's a lad on Twitter who sells them. He's absolutely sound. If anyone wants one, yeah, he can source them for you. He sends them all over the world. But yeah, I got this off eBay, and it was a one-off purchase. Let's say
a one-off, yeah, a little bit of a luxurious purchase. Yeah. Well, look, there's loads to talk about this week, as I've already said a couple of times. But first, we'll talk a bit about you. So, the most normally people come on and people it's a standard thing, but something that's very interesting about you, and I think it's a great conversation topic, and you obviously feel passionately about it because you do it. You don't have any under 23s. You operate mainly in 24 to 30-year-olds, and obviously you love Asian football, so you have a lot of Asians. Someone put a funny question in about that. I wish I had their name here. They said, tell us about focusing on Asian footballers between 24 and 30 whenever everyone's over 30. Who was that? That was quite funny.
That was one of the lads from the Loyals, yeah.
Talk to me about that. I'll find their name while you're talking.
So I do actually have...
It was Nick Taylor to butt in. Yeah. It was Nick Taylor. Yeah.
Mr. K-League.
Yeah.
So I do have some under 23s, but I don't play under 23s. I thought about getting into it when the limiteds came around and building an Asian under 23s. But I think the thing with under 23s is there's such a huge premium on the players. And the players that I have that are under 23 are kind of, I feel like I've scouted them myself, and they're not kind of high performing players so far. So you're not paying that premium. But my entire aim with them is to, when they do score a couple of goals, the under 23 prices go up faster than any other prices, and then to flip them. So one of the ones that I hold is Fuchi Honda, who's plays for Sagan Tosu. And he was injured a lot of last season. But before that, he was kind of starting most of the games. He's 20, and he played today and scored a nice header, and his price probably doubled. And he's one that kind of, I'm hoping that he kind of, now that he's back in the team, a lot of people will be looking for under 23s over the summer, and that's kind of my attitude to that. And the reason I kind of play 24 to 30-year-olds mainly is a lot of them aren't going to get poached by a bigger team. A lot of them are kind of, they have their level. They might be good at their level. Like you don't hear of many 25, 26-year-olds coming out of Japan. If they haven't made it by then, it's kind of, that's their level. So there's a bit of security. I do play SoRare pretty scared all the time of players getting moves and players getting injuries. And I try and cover myself that if someone does get an ACL, they're not going to retire them the year after. So the players who I have in my gallery who are kind of over 30 are players who have a contract for next season, or if they don't have a contract for next season, they would get picked up by another team, or if they got relegated, they're good enough to stay in that league. And the likelihood is that they're going to play for the same team next season and keep scoring the same scores next season. I have a lot of mid-table teams, like Cerezo Osaka and FC20. I do play Europe, and they're pretty kind of middle of the table teams. And I think 20 are actually doing a bit better than mid-table now. But I do play Cerezo quite scared. I think it's probably a good way to play if you're not into like taking massive risks.
Well, it's definitely like, I mean, it's a sensible way to play, I suppose. I mean, a lot of us play kind of balls the wall, and I mean, then a Florian Wirtz happens and his price drops by 60% or something crazy. I mean, but I suppose with that risk comes a lot of upside as well, and maybe a 26-year-old Asian midfielder who goes on a nice run and has a last 5 of 65 won't spike as much as an under 23 will. And maybe, as you say, they've found the level, so there isn't that upside in terms of where they could possibly be or what they could be in the future. So, I mean, I think it is a team way to play, but it's a sensible way to play. And I think quite often, I mean, I am a bit of an under 23 whore just because I love the thrill of the chase of the big boys. When I say the big boys, I mean the high valued cards, the Mbappes, the Haalands, the Pedris, the whoever else is. But like the value you'll get in terms of scores in other players is insane. The issue then is they're not eligible for under 23. But what I kind of like about going, and it's different, and it is budgets and it is different things, I go really under 23 heavy. And what it kind of means is that whenever I play my under 23s that are left over elsewhere, they're a differential in terms of that division.
Sure, yeah.
Do you know, which is another nice thing. But yeah, horses for courses. I just like it because there is a bit of a thing about under 23s, and there is obviously the imminent downside once they expire. A lot of them will do this year, particularly goalkeepers. And like, yeah, no, I rate the strategy. Like, it's not where I am. But
I think unless I think personally, unless you're scouting 17, 18-year-olds and buying them cheap, I can't afford to play under 23s and compete in the same way that I can compete in Asia. Unless you have a Koku and a Trent and those lots of players, and you're willing to pay that, because if you have those players, you're going to do well in under 23 at some point. And kind of my attitude is quite similar with differentials. Like I don't have any Kawasaki players. I have hardly anyone from the top 3 or who I think are going to be the top 3. And last week when those teams lost, my teams did well, and you do considerably better because you're not having to worry about the Kawasaki stacks and the Yokohama F Marino stacks because they lost. And that's a massive boost for the mid-table team that kept a clean sheet in a 0-0. So yeah, and then kind of like planning ahead and just making sure that the fixtures line up in ways that you want. Like I have a little Excel spreadsheet with all the fixtures on that I manually enter. I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, but and it kind of keeps you ahead, and you can plan your game weeks really far ahead. And like, and obviously SoRare data, you can do that on as well. But I'm planning my lineups for like November, December sort of time. So,
well, that's amazing. Like, you know, I am notoriously, like, I never proclaim to be an expert. I'm an absolute chancer who just fucking bluffs it and has a bit of fun. I have the luxury of being in early, so I can do that. Do you know what I mean? It's a pure luxury, a luxury of luck. And I'm just here bluffing it and having fun. But like the thing that resonated with me that you said there was about kind of buying those guys when they're 17, 18, they're out of the team. I do that, and I have done that with under 23s.
Yeah, and if you have tips, or if you see or if you see players, that is where you're going to make the big profits.
Yeah, and I mean, some of them come off, some of them don't. But then, like the Fabian De Kaiser, for me, paid off. And I have a couple of other guys like that. There's one who's actually been disappointing. This is a complete tangent. You know who's really disappointed me? He was one of my first ever super rares. He was like my third super rare. Anwar El Hajj. Remember he was he like a Golden Boy nominee or something crazy? Like, yeah, but he was like, you're talking 3 years ago or something. He was like really, really, really highly rated. And he's just seemed like a Muzu there. There's like Anderlecht are a weird one. They just like no one seems to be doing amazing.
It's a strange team this season, and like that's actually one of the teams that I saw when I was in Belgium. Like, they are a good team. They kind of want to dominate the possession, but like they're playing 4-4-2, and it's like not normally what you see from a possession dominant team. And they've got like Verscharen on the wing, who's not really a winger, I don't think. And
he's injured. Is he back this week? I need to find that out. Anyway, I interrupted you.
No, I'm just saying, like, Anderlecht are a strange team, and they're kind of a team that everyone knows, and you think they should be better than they are, but like they haven't really been competing in the last few years. But I think they're a bit of a project team, and
they're gonna flip. They're flipping their players, like, you know those kids are gonna go elsewhere. But it's a weird one. Company loves to rotate a lot of them, and there's so much talent there. But I mean, some of them are playing okay. Like Xerxes getting a few goals, and Verscharen does do well when he plays, and
Josh Xerxes whatever else.
Yeah, like I like him. Apparently, there's a lot of attitude issues there, but I mean, if that can get sorted out,
you can kind of tell that with the way that he plays. You see him like off the ball, like he works hard, but he's very like he kind of gets a bit frustrated sometimes. And I think there's rumors that's why Bayern don't rate him, and that's why they don't want him. And I don't think his level is that level. I don't think he's that kind of top end talent. But I think a mid-table Prem team or a lower league Prem team.
One that fries my bap is, so for everyone watching, I had a big sweat this week in under 23s, actually, under 23 Pro. I had 370 points going into the Monday night where AC Milan were playing, and I had Rafael Leao super rare in my lineup. So I was chasing down a podium. Now, things didn't go my way. Porto, the kids went mad. Diogo Costa kept a clean sheet. Mbappe shot 100. There was a few things that happened that night that didn't go my way. But Rafa Leao, just speaking of attitudes, like all the talent in the world, immense dribbler of the ball, but by God, is he hard to watch. Like, I mean, I have a super rare. I want to watch him. I want to support the kid, but Jesus wept. The throwing the arms up and the moping around the top of the pitch. And you know, when you're looking, like I was looking, and like this is one of those, it's the whole spectator thing where you feel you know better than the professional footballer who's getting paid millions. But like I was watching and I was like, all right, you've met the shot, whatever was saved, it went out, and you could see the ball was going to come back, and you're just like, move, get into the box, get in the box. He's just standing there throwing the hands in the air, then the ball comes straight across 3 yards from him, and he doesn't get them. It's like, if you had just like not thrown the head up and had a better mentality, that's a goal. And like the amount of times where it's like he just gives up, or I don't know, he does my tits into watching. It reminds me of Martial back in the day where he would just like that big mopey head on him.
Yeah. And that's the sort of strikers that I cannot stand. Like, I really try and make sure that the strikers that I buy are like, because I was a striker when I was younger, and I was the walking around and just not really pressing. Well, to feel like pressing wasn't big in like 2005. So
yeah, 4-4-2, baby.
Yeah, and the big man up front. Yeah,
Bear the square kid, get it into.
But like, there's a lad who plays for Feyenoord called Brian Linson. Never plays more than 60 minutes, but he would always start, and everyone was crying out. There's a lad called Dessers who they have on like a loan to buy option, he's definitely the better striker, but Brian Linton just runs for 90 minutes. He presses, and you're like, that is what I want you to do when I'm watching you. And when you watch a striker and he's just stood on the last man, not making a run, he might get a header in the box or something like that. But like, you really want a player to like just be enjoyable to watch if you're just watching their game for them. And like, I watched a lot of Feyenoord games and don't play under 23. So like, all their best players were under 23s, but like Brian Linton up front was the reason I was watching, and he was like a joy to watch as a forward.
Yeah, no, it's it does. It makes watching someone tend because I mean, whenever I'm watching players now or teams with SoRare, it's horrible. Like it's not horrible. It's just the way the game is, and it's the way I enjoy the game. I watch players. I don't necessarily watch teams. Like I did a video with Quinny the other day, and he was on to me about like you've obviously watched a good bit of Milan this year with Leao, and Quinny's big into his analysis of games, and he's way more in like intelligent. He's way higher football IQ than me in terms of he's done coaching before, and he watches like formations and pressings and and tactics and shit like a lot of people do. But for me, I'm like, Connie, I've watched a lot of AC Milan, but really I've watched a lot of Leao. Like my eyes are glued to him. I want to see everything he does. Watch a bit of Kalulu, who looks like a baller too. But it's like whenever you're watching a game with a SoRare head on, I know a lot of people love the whole data and love everything, get into it and watch everything and love it. But for me, I'm like, I am glued on one guy and I care every time the ball comes to that guy. And like, it's like laser focus. So whenever they're letting you down or their body language is off, everyone else is watching that game and Leao throwing the hands up. They're not even looking at him. They're looking at the ball. Whereas I'm looking at him and I'm getting pissed off at him, you know? But
I actually did a lot of that as a kid. Like I watched Gareth Bale at Southampton. I watched Sheffield Wednesday. He came to Hillsborough and he was like 17 or 16. And everyone was like, he's the next big thing. And I just watched him for the entire game. And then he bangs this like unbelievable free kick. You're like, yeah, he's actually quite good. And then I watched like Oxlade-Chamberlain as well when he was at Southampton. Watched I watched Wednesday away and I watched Oxlade-Chamberlain and I was like, he's nothing special. And he's kind of not really been that much of a talent. Like when he was at Arsenal, like he was all right, and he's at Liverpool, he's all right. Like he's not.
Remember Alex Iwobi?
Yeah, he's Everton, isn't he?
Remember Ross Barkley?
Barkley was at Wednesday on loan. Barkley was at Wednesday on loan, and he was unbelievable for us. And then for like any Prem team, he's okay.
There's so many of these kids who like that's the other thing. Back to under 23s, the percentage of those under 23s that are actually going to make it, I think it's different if you're talking about like a Wirtz or a Pedri or like maybe Wirtz, whatever, he's injured, but like you know what I mean. There's guys who like are clearly doing it already. You know, they've shown
that's exactly my thing. If you're not doing it at 18, I don't think you're going to become unbelievable at 23. Like when Neymar was 18, when Cristiano Ronaldo was 18, when Pedri's 18, Wirtz 18, like these are players that are good at 18 and they're going to keep being good at least. And they might get like a bit better tactical understanding or something like that, but like their attitude's going to be the same. Like Jude Bellingham's attitude is fantastic. He's 18? So I don't necessarily believe in the potential like most FIFA players have passed where they're going to exponentially get better until they're 27 and then they'll start to decline because everyone knows that over 30 you can't move.
Well, people think that like I think it's just this error in people's logic around football in that they think of footballers at 17, 18, 16, whatever, and they're like, well, he's this good now, and they view that almost hockey stick growth that like SoRare have, and they view that graph in their head. They're like, well, if he's this good now, he's going to be amazing by the time he's 27.
I think for defenders it works.
Because just the experience and the position.
How many 18-year-old wonder kids are defenders?
Yeah. They do kind of grow into a role, don't they?
Yeah.
But particularly further up the pitch then, it's almost like there's nothing wrong with reaching your potential at 18, 19 and being an incredible player, but it doesn't mean that you need to keep getting better year on year on year till you're 25 and then you're the best in the world. It doesn't work like that. Like to be one of the best, it's just about having a consistent career, getting lucky with injuries and just consistently putting in top performances for a top club for 10, 15 years. It doesn't mean the consistency. If Pedri does what he did, what he has done, and he had an injury and whatever else, but like let's say, just picking Pedri out, Bellingham, pick out someone. Pedri's probably done more, but if he just does what he does now, he doesn't even need to get better. If he does that for 15 years and doesn't really miss seasons through injury, he will go down as one of the greats. Do you know? It's like, anyway, that's a different conversation. We have a lot of SoRare stuff to talk about today. There's There's lots actually. So we launched straight in with a nice opener. El Gran Derby experience. SoRare put out their first content in a long time on their YouTube channel. And it was two managers off to Sevilla and Betis, the derby. I thought it was a really nice piece of content. I think, like, because I make vlogs and stuff, but I never really get to watch them. I know, like, a couple of guys do them. SoRare Messiah, shout out to him. I think MLS Card Guy went off with him and did one recently. There's some really good things out there, but there isn't a lot. And then SoRare put this out, and obviously the production value's through the roof. I thought it was a beautiful thing. It was nice. It was a nice length. There was a lot to it. And I just thought, yeah, like SoRare should do more of this. I really liked that personally. And like, it was lovely what they delivered to those guys. It looked like a really nice experience, and it looks like they picked the right guys. Do you know? Like, I didn't apply when they put out for that because it was like you did need to be a fan. And I'm sure a lot of people sort of said, oh yeah, I'm a fan. But like, really what they did there, they picked the right people, and I thought it was brilliant. Did you watch it, and is it your cup of tea?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it yet. I watched the first probably 30 seconds, and I remember when they were kind of asking for people to submit, and I was like, oh, I'd love to go and see Betis, that'd be class. But then I was like, yeah, it's not. I'd be taking the people that they picked obviously were kind of real fans and want to meet the manager and that kind of stuff. And it was, I haven't watched it all yet, but like from the first 30 seconds, it's kind of that kind of quality content that we saw at the announcement. Really polished, and professional.
They're showing me up. I thought I was pushing the boat out in terms of production quality, and then
you need to hire their production team next time.
Fuck's sake! I was kind of hoping they couldn't do this themselves, and they'd have to hire me someday. Well, that's my job gone. But yeah, I mean, obviously you're killing their retention there. They didn't keep you for longer than 30 seconds, but maybe you'll watch it someday.
Well, it's on the watch later, so I'll get to it. But yeah, there's a lot of SoRare content to get through, so.
That's it, yeah. You can have even more if you sign up to my membership.
If I give you 50 quid.
We'll talk about that later. We'll keep the people waiting. So El Gran Derby, bottom line, I think it was lovely. I thought it was quite heartwarming. I thought it was made brilliantly, and I want to see more of it personally. Now, the reason I mention that isn't just for it. It's a wider thing. It's marketing. They seem to have put their foot down a little bit. Nicholas has said a lot recently on that Pompliano or whatever podcast and different things about leaning into marketing. And they've obviously got massive agreements with the clubs, and they've got like hundreds of clubs, and they have access to their Twitters. They have access to their socials. They have access to their billboards. They have access to all sorts of stuff. La Liga TV. I was sitting down watching Villarreal play last weekend, my beloved Danny Parejo. And Jeremy Pino was playing too, who I have. And I was watching, and up pops the like 1.5 minute version of that El Gran Derby at halftime. And it was this 1.5 minute type ad, 2 minute ad. And at the end it said in like big, bold white letters, become a SoRare manager. And I was sitting there in my TV, feet up, and I was just like, holy shit. Like, this is mad. Like, I don't know how many people watch La Liga TV in Ireland and the UK, but like, you know, it's still... Maybe is La Liga TV where people get their La Liga in Spain? I don't know. But like, still, it was really cool to see.
I'd say the people who are watching La Liga in Ireland are probably the type of people you want to be targeting to become SoRare managers. You probably don't want to be advertising to people who just watch Liverpool, Man United.
That's a fair point. You're hitting the diehards. You're hitting the wee creeps in their bedroom watching Villarreal play.
Exactly, yeah. For reasons that are non-SoRare related up until that point, which is a real diehard.
100%. But the reason, again, I just keep segueing. The segues don't stop. Snieg, S-N-I-E-G. I think he's French. Yeah, that's French. I've translated it. He put up a couple of screenshots from SoRare data. And apparently that in the last day, we're recording this on the 6th of April, they have recorded 5,000 new managers. And that's managers with at least one card, which is quite staggering. If you actually look at the chart, people, you'll have to maybe go onto Twitter. I've retweeted it. It actually does go like full-blown parabolic. Like, it's obviously hockey stick straight up, but it literally goes vertical. Now, I don't know if they've pressed the foot on something or if something's happened or if it's a
Yeah,
glitch in SoRare data. But apparently it's not a glitch. He
it'd
quite
be
literally
interesting.
says that it's not a bug in this tweet. He says it's not a SoRare data bug.
It'd be interesting to see like if they all use the same referral link, or if it's like some influencer in France has shared something, or someone see what country they're all from, or if it's just kind of that a lot
It, it,
of people have found it at once.
it could be like one massive YouTube channel has done something.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much. I'm on my like affiliate account now. In the last day, my signups haven't spiked, so they're not finding it through me. I'll tell you that much for free. So someone in France or someone in America or Spain or something has went ham. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see what happens over the coming days. By the time people are listening to this podcast, maybe something's come out or something's happened, but maybe it goes back to that marketing thing.
If you want to segue, it could be 5,000 Mexican fans.
It could be 5,000 Mexican fans. Nice one. Or Brazilian fans. Brazilian football's back, isn't it?
Yeah, that's this week.
But
or
your
is that
point's...
already started? I don't know.
I definitely had to pick guys for this midweek game week. It has started. But yeah, your segue was better. Welcome Club Necaxa, I think. They're a Mexican club. They're the 5th Mexican club to join SoRare. I had a look. No one's scores stand out to me, to be quite honest, so we're not going to talk about it too long. But maybe they have an absolute die-hard following.
Yeah, 5,000 loyals.
5,000 loyals. Sounds like a dream for you guys in your Twitter group. But yeah, like the marketing's exciting. It'll be really exciting to see what happens this year. And I could say exciting a million times because as much as I want them to get football right, and I really do, and I think it should be their priority, obviously, the clarification essentially of 2 major American sports coming in, I mean, that has to make your balls tingle a bit. The amount of people that's going to bring in. Americans are literally like the guys who collect cards,
and play fantasy.
And play fantasy. Like, it is quite literally, like, if you look at the soccer card collecting world, whatever about soccer cards, because it's not as big in America, but like if you look at card collectibles, collecting NFTs,
baseball and basketball,
America is where it's at, baby. If they can leverage deals with huge things over there, I don't know. The amount of people that could sign up now, albeit if they're not buying soccer cards, how much do we care? But I mean, I think SoRare have to have a game mode where they cross, where you play your Steph Curry beside your Hans Van Eyck. They just have to. There has to be a game mode for that.
It'd be a good special weekly.
Because they will go on the max 100. They'll have to go on the same kind of scoring, not matrix. Obviously, things will be different, but the same max 100, 0 to 100.
Yeah, it'd be similar, I'd say. Yeah,
the same structure, maybe less players depending on the sport, maybe different positions, but they have to have special contests. And that'll mean all these mad NBA lovers will be like, I need a Koku. Do you know? I don't know. I just say it. It has to happen. It has to happen. But yeah, we've talked about marketing. Is there anything else on that?
No. It's just good to see new people on the platform. I don't think they've really accelerated yet. I think now that the app has kind of come out in alpha or beta or whatever it is, I think once that's kind of polished is when you really want people to be signing up, because a lot of people, when I first joined, the fact that there was an app was weird, and I was on a browser on my phone. I was like, this doesn't seem legitimate. But when there's an app, and I'm on the beta of the app, and it looks pretty nice. It's not as good as the SoRare data app at the minute, but like for checking scores and lineups, looks pretty good.
I applied for access but didn't get it. Do I need to go and look somewhere, or did they ignore me? Or
I got it yesterday. I only got it yesterday. I applied the day of the announcement. I think others got it like the same day. So it might come through to you, it might not.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been called a SoRare celebrity today, so maybe if I don't get it, I mean, why the fuck are peasants like you getting it? But
it's better to be called a celebrity than some of the other things that I saw you being called.
I've been called worse today. So, yeah, what was I was saying to you there? Yeah, just a quick conversation around Champions League football. You know, we're recording this during the Champions League. We had a wee sort of off-air chat about it. It was sort of saying about how, like, geez, we scheduled this in a week or whatever ago, and like I didn't even think, oh shit, Champions League's on. But I can't say I'm too gutted. And it's a funny one, right? because whatever about the teams you support, whatever about that, I mean, Champions League is one of the most prestigious competitions, probably is the most prestigious sort of club competition on the planet, and like from a SoRare perspective, if I'm going to be completely honest, it just means harder matches for my guys. I would rather watch my Koku spank someone 4-0 and get 100. Never mind going into whatever about Koku, but like I'd rather watch my Danny Parejo up against bloody Cadiz or something. But
Elche or
tonight,
something like that.
Elche. But tonight, albeit he's against Bayern, he got an assist and he's on for like an 80, which is great. But like, I'd be looking at that and I'm like, oh, do I really want to watch him get spanked? Do you know? Or even like Sané, who I have, like, do I want to go and watch Sané like struggle against the boys in yellow? I don't know. But it's just a funny one. Do you follow the Champions League much or care?
Yeah, I'd follow it. Like anyone who follows football knows who's in the Champions League and who's in the Premier League and that sort of stuff. I mean, I really don't like care who wins. If I used to care if it was an English team or a foreign team, but like now I just don't honestly care. Like last year, Chelsea and Man City in the final, I was like, either of those two teams, if they win, that's cool. But like, I have no SoRare exposure to it. I don't play Champion Europe. I'll watch a game with some friends every now and then, but the whole Super League thing, I was already kind of falling out of love with top end football before that, and then like the whole Super League, and we're going to break away, and then actually we're not going to break away because we care about you. I was just like, yeah, I don't care anymore. Like I'd much rather watch kind of like a non-league game or like any game that has a SoRare player in it for me. So the only time I watched European football was this year. I built my European team around kind of a common keeper and 4 players who would have midweek fixtures, just to hit the threshold in the midweek. So asking for a 40 or a 50 against a tougher team is usually not too difficult, especially when like Feyenoord were in the Conference League. They're a pretty big team in the Conference League, so in the group stage especially, and then sell up those players before they got into the knockout rounds and they got those tougher fixtures, but they still have a bit of midweek utility pricing about them.
Yeah, Champions League, it's a funny one. There's loads of things here, right? I'm going to move on to one of them. Just I'm looking at my sheet here. Normally there isn't this much to talk about. I'm going to throw this one at you actually first. Just left field question. Vissel Kobe, what's going on? Kikuchi scored 0 today. King Kikuchi. I mean, this is one of the best scores in the platform last season anyway. He scored a 0. He had an error leading to a goal or conceded a penalty or some, but negative decisive, and then like a -18 score, lots of duels lost and possession lost. Aside from Kikuchi or included, what's going on there? Because I thought they were going to be like, obviously them and Kawasaki were kind of like the 2 stacks to beat.
Yeah, and then like Yokohama as well. The Marinos. No, like Vissel Kobe last season had. They obviously had Iniesta, and he was their midfield was built around him in that number 10 role, and they didn't really have the wingers, and they played this kind of 4-3-2-1 or the 4-1-2-1-2 diamonds to kind of accommodate him. It worked really well, and they had, I think, their best season in kind of J League history. And then obviously with that they qualified for the ACL, the Asian Champions League, and everyone knows that if you don't have the squad depth, or if you have a 38-year-old player as your most important player, you're going to have to rotate sometimes, and players are going to be tired. And then coming into this season, Kikuchi was injured at the start of it, and their midfield was just found out. Like they played too narrow, and they had a couple of injuries up front. Like Muto's out for a couple of months, and Samper's out, and Kikuchi today was like he was on ice skates. He was just embarrassed. Like if you watch the highlights of his error lead to goal, the ball comes to his feet. All he has to do is clear it, and he like runs over the ball like 3 times, and then it falls to the defender behind him. And I don't think it's going to be a long-term trend with Kikuchi. I think it might be more of a long-term trend with Kobe, but like. They've got a new manager supposedly coming in, a Spanish manager. Obviously helps. They've got a big Spanish contingent in their midfield, and with the quality they have, like they won't get relegated because I think they're currently like second bottom or something. I don't think they'll get relegated, but like they're really going to struggle, and they've got ACL coming up now, and I think they'll do quite well. They've got big aspirations as a team. They're owned by like Rakuten or something.
Yeah.
And they've got big aspirations, but like, yeah, they're not a team that I'd really want to get involved with. SoRare wise, I've got a good couple of young players, but it's just hard to get those older players out of the team. And yeah, I wouldn't watch in their games if you want.
Yeah.
If you're a Kikuchi holder for the next few.
Thankfully, I didn't go too heavy on them. I picked up a few other guys, but and I limited just. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those because I kind of bought a load of like Japanese players to kind of have a bit of skin in the game, but they're limited. And the other side of it is like I give away all my limited rewards to YouTube people anyway. So like, I just wanted to buy really good guys and just stick them out. You know, the Kawasaki Frontale stack, stick it out. You know, buy a Kikuchi, stick him in the All Star, whatever else. But like, I have to watch some of these highlights because that sounds hilarious, and I love the on ice skits. It sounds like Bambi, you know, just like
that's what it looked like.
Big man Kikuchi. But anyway, the staying in Asia, K-League cards. We've got new cards, and this brings up a conversation. Jeez, the segues are on point today. So K-League 2022 has landed. For the third season on SoRare, all 12 K-League clubs have landed in the market, get scouting. So loads of new cards here. I mean, whatever about that, as a thing to talk about, it's not a massive announcement. It was all very expected. It was all to come, whatever else, right? But where I think an interesting conversation comes off this is, in the last maybe like 3 or 4 days, I say this all the time, but it's true. I get like inundated with beginner DMs. Inundated. And I've had more, and you kind of pick up on trends of what people are thinking about, right? But in the last like 3 days, I've had like multiple messages of people asking the same thing. And it's around, I need to start, do you know what I need to do? I need to have an FAQs in my drafts that I can copy and paste to these guys.
Are you going to charge
Because I don't charge for DM help. So the question is this: XP. A lot of people are wondering, like, with all sorts of leagues, do I want to buy the cards now, or should I wait because the XP? And in my mind, right, because I'm not a massive limited guy, I think in terms of rares, and for like rares, and what I've always done is I just buy the oldest version of the card I can because I like that, the collectible kind of aspect, because I'm probably going to hold them for quite some time. That's the way I do it. I'm not a big flipper. I don't move guys on. I don't buy them on the regular and flip. So like, I'm going to hold you for a while. So I'll buy the oldest version I can at the best price I can with the most XP I can. If there's 2 on the market, I'll try and get them on better XP, but it's not like a big deal breaker for me. And at rare and super rares, that doesn't matter so much. But in limited, it is a big factor, and it is really something that people need to consider. It's that the XP is huge. So it's a hard one because it's like, is it worth people like, let's say last week, or what league is going to be dropped soon? The MLS?
Yeah, probably the MLS cards next.
Yeah, imagine they'll space it out a wee bit from K-League. Maybe it'll be in the next few days, but they probably said when it's going to be, to be honest, have they? I've just missed the exact date.
You probably look how far ago the J-League ones. They were like last week, so maybe in a week's
maybe
time.
It's next week or something. But anyway, right, let's say the MLS is going to be next week. Do people buy cards now, or do they wait? What would your take on that be?
I think with XP, it does change between limited and rare and super rare. With limited, I think if you see a card on the market that's like, it would be what, a 9.5% now? It's going to be 4.5% for an MLS card in a few weeks. I would pay more for that card than a card with like 6.5%. But then once the new cards come out in limited, if the card that you have is 2.5%, I think the difference in limited is worth paying a little bit more. Not like massively. I'm a big fan of buying just the cheapest on the market because I hold my cards long term. In terms of rare, it depends on when you're buying them. Because if you're buying in the off season, the XP doesn't matter unless you're buying an old card that already has like 3 or 4% that you can then build up to 6 and 7%. Because a lot of my Asian cards that I have now in rare are already on 6-7%. So for this, like for the next 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of the cards are on either 1.5% or 5%. but I'm on 7.5%. And obviously the 5%ers will catch up a lot faster, but like I'm not at a disadvantage. But if I was buying cards now, I'd buy new cards or old cards with like in rare with like 3.5%, 4%. But I don't really subscribe to the idea of like overpaying for XP because the difference that it makes is big. But like I'm not trying to compete for podiums every week. I'm just trying to get in and about the rewards and get kind of small marginal gains. But if you're serious about winning divisions, you need kind of like 7.5 to 10% rares to really be competing.
But even just those smaller wins, like for example, this week I missed out on a tier 2 rare in SoRare Pro by 0.3 points. Like that's 1%. That's less than 1% probably if a big score. Work that out. But like, so my take on it is, I think it's very much. So I had a question about it in terms of European cards, and I said if you're going European, just buy them because there is a bit of a dip at the minute. You've all summer to train them. You have a few weeks of utility. And the thing is, God knows will they even be released again next season. We're still waiting on this season's Napoli cards, for example. My Koulibaly's 14%.
Yeah.
It's obscene, which is amazing. But like, I wouldn't be sitting waiting on that, But for like the MLS, we know it's probably going to come in the next few weeks. We know they're going to saturates may be strong, but there's going to be a lot more on the market. We know what happened last year when the MLS came back. It's one of those. I feel like those cards maybe are due to dip, but then you kind of need to get a bit mathematical about it. So there is the XP chart. I just Googled their SoRare XP chart and it pops up, whatever. So you don't lose half your levels and half your like bonus XP, your bonus. You lose half your XP. So let's say, for example, your card had like plus 5% and then it had the fatality. So let's say it was a 10% card, right? If you were to, that's 3,900 XP to get to level 10, which gives you that plus 5. If you lost half your XP, you've got like 1,950 then. You're still a level 8 card. You're still a level 7 card. So you go from level 10 to level 7. So you don't have plus 5, you go plus 3.5. I know this is a lot of numbers to throw at people if they're listening. It might be hard to follow. But the thing is, like, I think if you're rocking like if you can buy a limited card now and you think it's good value, okay, whatever, it's a different one and it's hard to predict what's going to happen when new cards are added to the market and the demand and whatever else. But like in terms of the actual XP, I would sometimes rather have the older card and be starting to earn XP on it, take the half, and you might go from like a 5% card to a 3.5, but you'll catch up, you will catch up.
It depends
and you'll be on the way.
Card.
Sorry, you'll be on your way to like 10% faster than everyone else as well. Like, for the long term.
Yeah, and if you're buying a card for this season and next season, the sooner you buy it, the sooner you get it training. You'll be behind for a portion, and then you'll be kind of even, and then you'll be ahead, and then you'll be slightly less ahead. But in the long term, if it's a card that you believe in for the next couple of years, it's better to get it now and training it and using it than to kind of hold off and buy a new season one. Because the gains are 1%, but over the course of the year you'll be better and worse. And unless you want to kind of buy and sell cards based on XP, but I'd rather have like a card in my gallery for 2 years that I know the XP on it than kind of worrying about buying and selling.
That's fair. It is an interesting one. I think it depends on the type of card you're buying. I think it depends on who you're buying. I think it depends on the prices, the leagues, whatever else. And again, it's hard. I mean, there is a bit more of a schedule now, but it's still a lot of unprecedented things. Like loads of new people signing up. They're dropping limited. What's to say they don't announce something huge next week? It's really hard to know what exactly is going to happen. It's hard. Like, it's not like this is, I don't know. It's not like SoRare's been around and we have like years of data to work with and like examples of when this happens. It is very much a speculator's game and we could all be wrong. So I find it hard when people ask me. I'm kind of like, well, if it was me, I'd probably do this, but I'm probably wrong. Go and talk to Professor Techers. He knows his shit. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, you went on a little SoRare trip of your own. You went to a couple of games over in Belgium. Tell us about it.
So just before Christmas, I kind of wanted to go and see kind of the SoRare game in real life. Obviously, I wasn't going to fly to Asia for the weekend, so I have a kind of small contingent of Belgian and Dutch league players, and was looking at where's easy to fly to, and Brussels is pretty easy to fly to from Dublin. So went over with my dad for the weekend. He's a big football fan. Explained to him on the plane the reason why we were going to these specific games, and kind of explained the concept of SoRare to him. And we went to a Leuven versus Serang in Leuven.
That's a die-hard game, that, isn't it?
Just east of Brussels, and then Anderlecht and Kortrijk in Brussels. Flew over on the Friday, came back on the Sunday, watched 2 games, and drank Belgian beer and had some Belgian food, had some Belgian chips, and it's just a great football weekend, and it's very affordable because of Ryanair flights, and the price of tickets are 15 quid, and it was a fantastic weekend, and it's great to be able to watch someone in real life. It was actually a shame because I had Mercier, Xavier Mercier is my captain. He's the Leuven captain and kind of really creative player. I think he leads the league for most assists in Belgium this season, and he was the only one who let me down. My FC20 stack defensively did well, and Brian Linson scored, and then he's that kind of player. He'll get you a 35 with 35 possession lost, but 7 key passes, or he'll get all one of those will be an assist, and he'll get you a 85. And this season he's really struggled because he doesn't have a striker. And sorry, Kaba, we watched him, and the ball was flying into him, and it was just pinging off his head. He's got 50p feet. The only thing I'll say about him, unbelievable chest control. That's the only thing he's got going for him, that lad. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. No, it's great. And it does hit differently when you're watching it live and you've got your players there, isn't it? It's
definitely.
What I found hard was when I was in the last sort of trip I did, when we were in, was it Elche's ground, and we were playing against Barcelona, with no Wi-Fi or no signal. So I was literally mentally trying to tot up every time Araujo touched the ball.
Every key pass and
okay. Oh, that's possession loss. Jeez, -1 for God's sake. And I know I did this, he did that. And then you're like, that has to be. And then he gets the yellow card and you're snapping. But you're like, well, maybe he won the tackle before that, and it was tough. But it is class watching games live. I've got a real buzz for it, so I have a couple sort of lined up that I'm looking forward to getting to. But I told people I'm going to Orlando. I'm going to Orlando to meet a bunch of SoRare people in a month. But I've got some other kind of exciting news. I don't know. Is it the time to tell? Is it the time to tell? Fuck it, it's the time to tell, Rob, is it?
Yeah, you could tease us at least.
Well, it's not. It's one of those things where everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's probably it." But for me, it's very exciting. So basically, it's confirmed. But I mean, with very important, busy people, things can change overnight. So God knows. That's why I'm kind of like, "Oh, it's a month away." They want to say it. But basically, Gary V's coming on the podcast, which is exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, for all those boomers out there who probably found the podcast or found SoRare through him, I'm going over to New York. 3rd of May is the day we have in the calendar. Now, maybe VCon gets in the way. Maybe something else gets in the way. Maybe he's on CNBC or something. But as it stands, if everything goes to plan, I'll be over there in VaynerMedia interviewing him. So we'll go out in video. It'll go out in audio. Probably the biggest guest we've had in the podcast yet. And hopefully it sets a tone and we can land a few more big interesting people want to hear from.
He'll be the biggest guest and the smallest SoRare player.
The smallest SoRare player, yeah, but probably one of the bigger galleries.
Yeah, for sure.
Strangely,
yeah. Ask him for a loan of his unique Felix. Is it that he's got?
He does. I'd say. You know what? I've thought about what I'm going to say, and I think I'll ask him that. Let me see. Go on, lad. Give me your Felix. Loan me your Felix, lad. Yeah, I'm sure people would love that.
Stick it in a D2 in a D2 under 23 lineup.
People would love me for that, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's where all their hard-earned money's going.
So look, we'll that's very exciting. We're obviously buzzing for that. So look, hopefully it comes through. I hope everyone's excited. And I'll ask near the time for some questions. I have a few in my mind, but it'll be strange because it'll be doing an interview in person as well, not over this. I've never recorded a podcast live. Normally I have my little cheat sheet. of all the shit that I need to talk about.
You can have a cheat sheet in real life.
But it would look a little bit presenter-y, wouldn't it?
Is it going to be on video, or can you just get away with having a little?
No, it's video. Like, yeah. I don't know.
Well, you basically are a host and a presenter now, so
that's it. Yeah. If anyone is in New York, though, by all means, shout out, because I'll be in New York for a few days, and we're hoping to do a bit of a SoRare meetup. I think there's talks of renting out like a wee hall, not a hall, but like a little room that's like. Do you know what I picture it as? I think I've seen a photo before. I'll know more in the coming weeks, but you know, like in SoRare HQ, they have like the little mini 5-a-side room thing.
Oh yeah.
I think it's probably like 3 or 4 times the size of that. It's essentially a 5-a-side pitch, but it doesn't look big. And there's like a wee bit beside it and all where people can drink beer and eat pizza and stuff.
Yeah.
I know which side I'll be on. I'll be eating pizza and drinking beer, I think.
I've seen a video of you doing the keepy uppies.
Man, all I'm telling you is once I shift this COVID ACL weight, people won't know what's happened. You know, I mean, with the rise to fame I'm having, I'll probably be playing at one of these charity games soon. You know,
you get a call
Harry Styles and the boys.
Yeah,
Soccer Aid or whatever it's called. Football, what do they call that?
Yeah,
anyway, that leads us
on
to a funny point, right? So look, and it is a bit. Look, it's one of those things, right? This podcast isn't for like toxic shit, so I don't really want to get in the weeds, but at the same time, it's in terms of my content, and people are following my content here. I put out memberships on YouTube now. Honestly, like genuinely, honestly, what is your honest thought? Call me a dick if you think I'm a dick.
I don't think you're a dick. I think they're too expensive, especially at the lower end for what you get.
Yeah,
and a lot of it that I've seen on Twitter, I kind of agree with parts of it. And I understand why people probably don't want to do it, but like, I get what you get. I 100% what you get, what you're trying to do. I think it's really good. But as you say, you're not like you're not going to be giving out like tips. And I suppose some of the videos that you've been putting out, kind of the early tip videos, like if you got on that early, you could buy a player, and then when the video comes out, like that player is up in price, probably. That's what happens. But I think it's great, but I do think slightly too expensive, given the fact that like you're not giving team news or like injury reviews, but you're going for a different thing, and I get that.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of people on Twitter, which is not exactly the best.
There's two funny things. I actually haven't seen anything.
Have you not?
Because the people who have an issue with it are people who, I swear to God, I haven't seen one thing other than constructive feedback from people who I respect. Like I think Cal sent something. A few other people have said things like, oh yeah, maybe a wee bit expensive, whatever else. I haven't seen anything toxic other than like screenshots have been sent and stuff. And I'm kind of like, don't send me this shit. You know, I don't need this. But the reason is because it's from people who have not liked me for a long time. For different reasons. And because of that, I can't help but feel a lot of the like toxicity that's come out of it is purely down to biases or ill will against me in general. It doesn't matter what I do, actually. You know, there's always going to be an issue. Now, in terms of the pricing, it's one of those where I sat down, right? And like, I've made no secret that I'm trying to push it to the next level. I want to be a full-time content creator. That's the dream. Of course, it's the dream. Do I do well out of the affiliate stuff? Yeah, but is that enough for me to give up a living that I have, a steady career? SoRare could pull that plug on me in a heartbeat. They could change their affiliate terms overnight. They could change that overnight. Signups could dry up. The signups aren't coming in like they did last February. I'll tell you that much. Do you know?
Well,
and all them expired
yesterday.
All them expired. Well, those 5,000, I think I got like 10 of them. All those people signed up, like they've all expired. So what I'm getting at is like, okay, whatever people think with the affiliate thing, I've made no secret. I've never hid the fact that I make money there. For me, it's about making something more sustainable long term for me. In terms of the prices, it's a hard one, right? In terms of like the five, I kind of came up with a common thing for like a $5 because it was like, well, that's just like buying someone a pint.
Yeah.
I lose 30% to YouTube straight away. I lose a further 40% of the tax man, maybe 30 of the remainder. So of the 60% of that $5, which is £3, I'm losing another almost half of that. If someone was to give a fiver, I'm probably coming out with like what, £2?
Yeah.
When I look at it like that, okay, that thing you're not actually offering anything. For the tier up, the Discord, I swear to God, even today I sat in the Discord for like half an hour in a voice chat just chatting to guys. That's not for everyone. I'll chat to anyone on podcasts. I'll chat to anyone when I go on a vlog and people show up. I'll show you a great time. I'll buy you a beer, no problem. I'll answer every single DM under the sun. I put out 5 videos a week on YouTube for free. I put out this hour-and-a-half podcast every single week for free. I counted it. I answered something like 324 DMs last month.
Wow.
Like, and that's people. I went through, I counted it. That's how sad a bastard I am. Because I was wondering, like, how much time I actually put into this? And that's not a one and done. That's back and forth. There's a lot of work that goes in, right? And I want to make that sustainable because I want to keep doing that. When I looked at that, like, okay, whatever, the Discord, I was like, okay, I can make this Discord accessible to anyone. But then you get trolls who'll pay the £2, they'll pay the £5 to come in and give you shit. And then it leads to moderation. I don't want that. I want people who want to be there to be there. And that is hard. It's not accessible to everyone. But the other side of the coin is, I know a lot of people play on a budget. I don't expect you to be there. There's zero pressure. I'm not pulling any content. I'll still give you all my limited rewards. I'll still do all this shit. This is completely optional if you want it. And some people do. Now, where I know it gets saucy, this is me going off on a rant, right? Because I do appreciate it. And part of me really, I've taken the feedback on board. And you know what? When I think of it, okay, maybe I could have reduced a few of them and whatever else. YouTube have this really awkward thing where you have to pick your prices. You can't like customize them all. You have to pick pre-selected prices. And it's awkward shit where like £13 might have been too little for one, but 25 was too much. So I had to settle on 22. Do you know that type of thing?
Yeah, that's a bit crappy.
It is awkward, but could it have been done cheaper? Yes. But then I was thinking like, okay, I do get messages. Like, again, I don't proclaim to be an expert. Maybe people mightn't like this and you mightn't pay for it. You don't have to. But I get messages all the time, genuinely all the time, of people saying, John, I'd love to run through my gallery with you for an hour and see what you think. And I'm like, I'll answer a few DMs, but an hour of my time is money. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I have a busy life. I'm not trying to act like I'm more important than I am, but we all have lives. I'm trying to balance a family life with putting out 5 YouTube videos a week, a podcast, answering those DMs. Do you know, it's hard. So I'm like, if you want an hour of my time, you best believe you're going to pay for it. Yeah. So it's about having that offering where there's going to be a weekly stream. If you want to be there, you can be there. And I'm just going to stream to the members. And if they want to ask me any question under the sun, I'm there. Do you know? Yeah. And then there's the monthly Zoom calls where it's just like, yeah, we'll just have a beer for a couple of hours some evening. Some people want that. Some people don't. But you don't have to pay. And the last point, and then I'm done with my rant, is everyone quotes the highest price, right? Everyone quotes the highest price. That's the headline. No one looks at all the value elsewhere. People look at the highest price. The £45 tier, right? That is, as I said in the disclaimer or the explainer, it's everything from the tier below. The only thing is you're essentially paying £20 a month into the chance for me to pay all expenses paid trip to come on a vlog. And it's not even like, I'm not saying like, oh, everyone wants to come on a vlog. But again, I'm looking at the messages of people who've said to me, geez, I would love to go on a vlog. There's a lot of people who want that. And actually there's more unique members who've signed up to that today than there are common members for the $5. And that says it all. And I've said this, and maybe I should have made it more clear in the video, particularly with that tier. I want that to be like non-profit. That isn't, I'm not planning on making money out of people. Like, I don't want to do this like a draw thing where it's like, you know, like where I'll take it all and then I'll just pay like half of it out to fund the trip. I want this to be a case of if 400 people sign up, we're going to the fucking moon, baby, and we're staying in a 5-star hotel in the Bellagio because every penny's going back into that vlog and the person's experience because I want to deliver value. But like, look, I get it. There's crusaders out there. There's people who feel like they're the white knights of the community. No one's putting in the work like that. And like, I do feel like I offer value and it is completely optional. But it is hard because like, it is hard to take hate like that. You kind of have to learn. I have to get used to it because it happens. But I've muted those people. But whenever your mates are like sending you screenshots and all, and you're like, fuck, man, I don't need to see this shit. It just winds me up, you know?
Yeah, no, like I agree with everything. And coming from your side of it, like I 100% agree. The thing that annoyed me the most was the comment here. Because I was like, I don't know anyone who would sign up for that because it's very Twitch streamy.
Yeah,
Like when you're in a
that's
Twitch
fair.
streamer and there's someone, it's like, oh, like notice me, but like the comment section is like there's not like 10,000 comments. It's not kind of
Yeah.
like maybe in a year's time when you've got like 500,000 subs, like sure, but like
Yeah.
and
It
like
is. Do you know what? Yeah, sorry, I'll let you go.
no, sorry, I was just gonna say like the limited tier is probably a couple of quid more expensive than I would like be happy to pay, but like a couple of quid, whatever. Like some people are would
Yeah,
have to
maybe
pay
I could have
that.
made it like $9.99, not $12.99.
Yeah, and I think if you could,
Then you're
if you came out with $9.99, people would be like, oh, it should be $7.99 because people
yeah,
will always do that. But like, and I think you need to push the fact that it's not like SoRare inside information. You could maybe do your gallery review super rare stuff that you were doing, but like it's very much like a exclusive club for people who want to come and chat SoRare,
yeah.
and it's like
That's it.
and if you don't have those people in your life, which most of us probably don't have those in real life, like it's good to be able to come and kind of chat SoRare, like a chat SoRare with someone.
I get that, but I get the like. Part of me is like, it is one of those where it's like, I'm a tool, but I'm a relatable tool that people listen to every week.
And
So
I
there
think
are people who want to come on. They feel like they can trust me,
that's the
so they
best
want
thing
to come
about
on.
your channel is the kind of self-awareness and relatability, and like you laugh at yourself. Like we're having this chat now, like if you were like super prideful and be like, I don't want any criticism at all on this podcast, but
Yeah,
like, oh, we're going to cut this whole segment, I'd be like, you're a bit of like a prima donna, but like you're more than
yeah.
willing to kind of have the chat, and like it's a very positive character trait, I think.
Well, thanks, man. I needed that pick me up. Jesus Christ.
After the day you've had.
Yeah, fucking hell. But look, we'll not dwell on it too long. But two quick things. I think the thing with the common one is, I just very much thought of it in terms of a price of a beer. And I mean, like, whatever I think in euros, I think, and you live in Ireland, you know what beers are like here. You go into Dublin for a pint. So, like, I just kind of thought, yeah, it's a beer. People do this, like, buy me a coffee thing all the time. I thought, okay, that's kind of what that is.
Yeah.
But I do understand that maybe, that could have been $2.99.
Yeah.
Because whenever you actually break it down, this isn't a Call of Duty stream or a Fortnite stream where people want their emojis. This is, if I look at the demographic, a bunch of 24 to 40-year-old men who don't give a fuck about an emoji. It's a fun thing. But here's the thing. I went and paid to get them like designed. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They're hilarious. They actually are very
they do
funny.
look good on the video.
but yeah, okay. The issue, the hard part again then with YouTube is that it's the most horrible interface where like once you've started a tier, you can't like change it. The price, you have to delete the tier, remove everyone, and then create a new one. Yeah. So it's a ball ache. So it's like once you go, you're going. Like, so it's like now I'm in a position where it's like, look, I feel like, oh yeah, and sorry, just to throw that out there, in terms of like overheads and shit like that, like I have a guy who I pay. You'll see the thumbnails. I'm not making them myself.
Yeah.
The marquee videos with the editing, I'm not editing them myself. I'm paying someone.
Yeah.
So like, that's another overhead. But what am I getting at here? What was I saying? The common tier,
the Call of Duty Twitch streamers.
Yeah, it's like it's a hard one because like could it have been a bit cheaper? Yeah, maybe, but it's one of those where it's like I don't know. Maybe I mispriced it, but it's hard. So I think it's hard. Like I can't go in and tinker it every time. This is one of those things it'll probably have been blown over by the time this podcast goes out. To be quite frank, at least with anyone I give a fuck about. But the thing is that maybe in a month I'll have a look at it and see. But again, if I actually do look at every single tier and I look at what it would cost for me to do the things that are in them, that's the cost, baby. Do you know, it's not for everyone. Like they're giving away the limiteds in the community gallery and all the free videos that aren't changing or being pulled from the channel, all the podcasts, all the thises, all the replies to DMs, all the tweets. That's not going anywhere. You know,
and I think
this is the kind of
Sorry, that's what people on Twitter missed, and I think they probably did know it, but it's not as fun to like get angry about something. So
no, jeez,
they were all like, "Oh, he's making us pay 45 quid for a YouTube video now." It's like
that's not quite it.
It's going to be the exact same as it was yesterday, other than if you want more, you can pay for more.
Yeah, but look, it is what it is. Haters gonna hate, baby. Yeah. So look, I don't know what to say on it. That it is what it is. That's me addressing it. I'm very excited, and I've been actually, like, on a positive note, very happy with the sort of a lot of the positive feedback. A lot of the people enjoying it. There's a few people in there already. I talked to a guy, Oliver, from Germany for 20 minutes today. It was nice. Had a chat with him about his sort of SoRare thing, whatever else. Met a few nice people. Bit of banter on the Discord. There's only a few people there now, but hopefully it grows over time. And I feel like I'm sounding like Gary V here. I want to give value. Do you know, I want it to be value. I don't want people leaving because they feel like, Jesus, this is a ripoff. I want people to be having fun, engaging, making friends. And maybe they make enough friends that they can all just leave together and make their own Discord. I won't care. That's honestly fine. But we'll move on. We have lots of questions. We have about 20 minutes left. Lots of great questions. A lot of these from your friends. So for anyone listening, when we reference the loyals, there's a group of friends. Or maybe is it like a rule you don't speak about them? Because if there is, you speak about it a lot.
I think one of the lads was on previously and they got a bit of stick for not giving a shout out. So I was very very
cognizant of that.
That's the one, yeah, cognizant of kind of a couple of references just to keep them happy.
Yeah, that's fair. So they've been shouted out more than enough, but of course they will be in the comments, I'm sure. So let's see, what was the most liked one? I think we already actually addressed it. Nick Taylor early. Hey Robbo, again, of course, they're all in there. What's your favorite part of SoRare and why is it the loyals? Let's talk about that though. Like, this sounds like I'm trying to sell my Discord. What's the beauty of having a group of people who are into SoRare? Like, because I mean, as you said, like we talked about it earlier, in real life, you know, this is probably like the second conversation you've had in real life with someone. You were saying,
yep.
It is nice having people that you can bounce ideas off, or if you're about to make a trade and pull the trigger, it's nice having people to bounce that off.
Yeah. No, like it's fantastic. Like on rewards day, even if you haven't won something, you're getting constant updates of, oh, I'm sixth, and some guy's got Diego Costa, and if he gets a clean sheet, then I'll be down to seventh. And when you do get a reward, you get to share it with people, and they're like, you get like they're like genuinely happy for you to have won a reward. And yeah, if you have a trade, you have a second opinion on it. If like Hoodwink today, he sold his Mateus Savio.
He got him off me, the scumbag.
Yeah. Mateus Savio super rare, and he was like, oh, what do you think about this offer? And everyone was like, yeah, looks good, or no, doesn't. Like, I don't sell him. It's just good to get a second opinion.
Yeah,
it's nice to have those people to chat with, because I can't ask my girlfriend like how much you think Mateus Savio is worth. Like,
yeah. Like, oh, I'm thinking of, yeah, I know what you mean. It is, and I mean, aside from like again, I'm kind of joking about the Discord thing. I really, that's not why this has been brought up. It is genuinely a conversation point. I think like it is really important that people get immersed into the community for that, in terms of Twitter and wherever else. Like Twitter is kind of the hub in many respects. Maybe through Discords, it is a bit toxic on SoRare's Discord, but like meeting like-minded people and having people that you can learn to trust, and I think that is it's very important, and it's great because I love seeing the community you guys have, and I've been in a few other wee Discords and groups and things and WhatsApp groups, and like it's like people talk to each other more than they probably talk to their like closest friends.
Yeah.
Because I find it with my like best friends in my life who are like my brothers. Like I've known them for 20 years, and I mean I do anything for them, but I speak to people. I speak to Quinny more often probably, or like you know, because like, unless you have a common hobby or you're both doing something similar regularly, like what do you like? I don't know. Maybe it's something we're all bad at. Maybe not everyone is, but I'm really bad at like keeping in contact with like my closest people.
I think most lads are, but as soon as you meet up, it's like
it's like nothing happened. Yeah. But I have a conversation topic after. I'll let you go, but I have a good conversation topic.
Yeah, I was just going to give a shout out. If anyone's looking to get into kind of J-League specifically, Matsuyama on Twitter, he posts a lot of lineup predictions and injury news, and he has his own Discord. That there's a lot of kind of knowledgeable people and a lot of newer people kind of asking about injury news, and you do get people asking the same thing about injury news about like 5 or 6 times, but it's a very good place and it's free injury news and that sort of stuff. So
cool. Yeah, brilliant. Matsuyama, Matsuyama. Second time I've heard his name today, actually. The guy I was talking to in Discord, Oliver, I think he got a tip off him a while ago about something. He brought him up. So I've given him a follow. The conversation I was going to throw at you is loans. There was a bit of, not a bit of maybe it was literally one Twitter thread, but I ended up tagged into it somehow. There was something about like loaning and whether or not it's good or bad or people should even do it. I think it was a bit of shit given it. It might have been Vespasian or someone who I have a lot of time for, saying like that it's completely wrong essentially for the platform. What's your take on it? I have a take. I can give you mine if you want it first, but it's up to you.
I've never loaned a card, and I've never had a card loaned to me. And I get it. It's probably not what SoRare want you doing, because they obviously want you to buy a player for that game week rather than just loading one. But I think the fact that you can do it and kind of I get away with it if you think it's wrong, like I got bigger fish to fry than if someone's getting a player into a threshold team for a week. I don't care.
My take on it in a nutshell. So loaning on SoRare, it is not on us to be the ethical or moral police. It is on us to play the game. And as it stands, it's not illegal. So can I loan cards on SoRare or loan them out? Absolutely. Do I do it regularly? No, probably once every couple of months. I can't actually remember the last time I did it. But the penalty is there, and that is losing a lot of XP, which these days is very, very valuable. And if I had not loaned out a card in the past, maybe I would have got a card last week instead of missing it by 0.3 points. So the penalty is there for people who loan cards. And again, is it good for SoRare? Is it ethically correct if you have more friends or you're more engaged in the community and you have people to loan cards off that you trust? Is that an advantage over people who play the game on their own? Of course it is. Is it your problem? I don't think it is. I think it's SoRare's problem. I think it's a T's and C's problem. I think it's on us to play the game as game players and don't hate the player, hate the game. That was rounded up nicely, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, and I agree. I have nothing against it at all.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, I do get it. I understand why it might be hard for people who, they're new, whatever else, and like, they are probably a faceless account on Twitter. Why would you ever trust them?
Yeah.
But
well, that's the thing for me. Like, I don't have any real life friends. If my best mate was on SoRare, I'd probably be loaning him cards to get started.
I'm glad you followed that up. I thought you just said like in real life I don't have friends, and
I don't have any friends. No, but like if and it's kind of the trust thing. And as much as I love the loyals, like I've never met any of them in real life. And I'm sure if if someone stole a card, refused to send it back, then they get absolute abuse in the chat. But like it's partly a trust thing as well. Like I don't want us to be sending cards to people that I've never met.
Yeah. And the thing for anyone listening who's like, new, you're not really established in the community, whatever else, get involved on Twitter, wherever else, and maybe you'll make these connections. But the thing is, I'd always say if you're loaning and you're unsure, do it in a trade where you're getting capital in return. It is a loan. You can loan at the minute, whether or not people like it, whatever. But can you, like, if you're loaning a card, let's say you're borrowing a card, say you're sending someone a card that's worth 0.2 ETH, get 0.2 ETH worth of players that are not playing that week or something in return. They might try and tell you, oh, but I'll get XP hits for no reason and all that. That's not your problem. I think like if you're in any sort of doubt, get the capital. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe SoRare will come out with something about this at some stage soon. Maybe they could have.
I don't think it's one they're going to address in the very near future. It's not a big enough problem, I don't think.
No. Until I loan an Mbappe, then we've got a problem, baby. So yeah, loaning, I just wanted to bring it up. There's loads to talk about this week. Oh my God. We're going to get back to questions. How did we not talk about this? Game week 258, a lot of issues. Opta.
Yeah.
This happened a few weeks ago as well, and we talked about it, but it's happened again. There was the Kashiwa Raysol game where whatever happened in it, and they were going to apply the 2040 rule. And then they ended up miraculously pulling it out of a hat at the last minute, I think, is what happened. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you do the intro, and I'll
there was a couple of other things. I got more messages last weekend than any other weekend. There was a penalty save that didn't go in. Was it Cook or something? I don't know. I completely forget. I'm probably butchering it. Cook, I don't know. But there was a penalty save that wasn't registered. There was a goal somewhere that wasn't registered. There was shit everywhere that wasn't picked up on. People were having a hernia. There was the Bentea Savio goal. That's probably the Kashiwa Raysol thing, isn't it?
Raysol, yeah.
So that's what happened there, because it didn't come in, and there were people sweating. I know, like Hoodwink was obviously sweating. He won something this week, didn't he?
Yes, he won. Did he win Champion America? I think
He won something. Fair play. Shout out to
yeah.
Wink. Nice win. But yeah, give me your perspective. You had some sort of skin in this game, did you?
Yeah, so I after the weekend I was fourth in Champion Asia Rare with about 370 points, which I thought was super low, but that's because all the Kawasaki stacks and the Merino stacks weren't they all lost. But yeah, the game, from what I understand, was scored in like Opta, like it was all the stats were there on Surfer Score, which the last time it happened, the stats weren't there.
Yeah.
So the Kashiwa Racehall issue was a SoRare problem. I don't know exactly what the problem was, and I think it would be nice to know what the problem was. Kind of like they were talking about kind of communication, and they did give us communication around like we're looking into it, it isn't fixed yet, and then all this sort of stuff. But I think what the actual problem was and kind of how they're going to ensure it doesn't happen again, I think would be nice to hear. And then I think it was the Mechelen goalkeeper in Belgium. He saved a penalty, and then the rebound was scored, or the rebound was put wide, or something. And apparently, it's like an Opta issue where they have like with rebounded penalties. I don't, for whatever reason, it happens more often. I think that's right, or maybe it's a SoRare problem with rebounded penalties or something. But the Kashiwa Racehall one was fixed in the end. I don't know about the penalty. But then in the end, I basically dropped from 4th to 7th. I'm still very happy with that. But like, those extra places, like I was more than happy for those people to get their scores because they should have got those scores rather than me getting a top tier one rather than middle tier one. Because although it's better for me, it just feels wrong. Like
it feels a bit wrong, a bit dirty. So what they came out and they said, Dan updated us. There was a few updates and whatever else. But the game week 258 update, this happened yesterday at 1:23 p.m. Basically, they did say the technical issue affecting the data feed provided by our external data provider has been fixed. It does sound like they're trying to pass the buck a bit, especially if it was going to SofaScore or whatever. But I mean, what's not to say the way it's sent to SoRare was the issue and SoRare didn't receive it? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, okay, maybe we give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, it all came good, but it was a bit of a worry for people. There is something here I wanted to say, though. They apologize again, working to improve how they manage that. Now, this is something I liked, this line. We have also heard your feedback and we will create more suitable scoring rules for when issues like this arise. Because the 40 points to players who played 60 or more minutes and the 20 points to players who played fewer than 60 minutes, I think it's a bit of bollocks, really.
Especially when they're missing decisives.
Yeah, I think like you have to include the decisives. I mean, they're there to be seen. We know them. Okay, you can count the decisives at least.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's not
sheets.
accurate. Yeah, and I mean they're guaranteed scores, the decisives. So it's like even just give them the minimum and assume the AA doesn't exist. Guarantee the decisive side and whatever. Throw in a few more stipulations for guys who maybe aren't decisive heavy, and you know, I don't know. And I know it might be hard. Like, what if the game's coverage cuts out at 60, whatever, at some stage, and the clean sheet's there, and then the clean sheet's lost? I know it can get messy, but the bottom line is the current iteration isn't fit for purpose. Decisives need included in some way, shape, or form, in my opinion, and probably some other sort of caveats to protect against certain things. But Rob, based on
agree.
You agree? Good.
Yeah.
So based on time, we'll bang out one or two more questions. A lot of them are loyal based, which is good because it means there's not as many as you'd actually think. And then let me see. Yeah, so that we'll answer a few more questions. We'll do the 137 game wrap up in about 10 minutes if that suits you, Rob.
Yeah.
So now that Legend cards have utility, do you think it's possible that soon be retired players like Iniesta, Messi, Ronaldo will be declared legends by SoRare after their career, so their current regular cards will have utility in the future? It says ROO. What do you think?
Well, I think in future retired players will have utility. They've talked about when they were doing that kind of open software game thing that they were looking for. Talked about giving retired players utility. So I think they will. I don't think it's anything that's going to happen in the next year or so, but I think at some point there will be kind of some fully retired league where it's more like auto-generated scores or whatever like it ends up being. Or you can enter one retired player as whatever club they retired at is, or that that card is of. they're just used as a normal legend. So like if you have, I don't know, some under 23 goalkeeper from Utrecht, you can enter into the under 23 legend special weekly, where you fill with 3 legends and 2 normal players, but the legends aren't actual legends like Maldini or whatever. It's just like De Kaiser. I think that's something that would happen eventually, maybe.
There's a million ideas that could come. My take on the question at hand is that I don't think retired players will get legend utility. I think they might get other utility. I think where it gets messy is excuse the pun, is that it would be hard, and SoRare would put themselves in a position where they're just going to insult people. Like, who is a legend? What constitutes a legend? Like,
yeah,
is
and then like a
Bentner
club
going to be a
legend versus
legend?
an actual legend.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, so I think it'll be legend specific licensing, but I do think they will have utility. And again, it gets awkward because I mean, like, coaches could have utility in the future. There's company cards in the platform as a player, aren't there?
There's like a Trevor Brooking or something, or
yeah, like
is there another coach?
there's a Trevor Brooken, but I mean, I think
is there a Zidane coach card? Is there?
There's a Zidane coach card. There's also a, you know who I've seen as a coach card? Oh man, your man, is it Nuri Sahin? What do you call your guy? Is that him, the Turkish guy? Did he used to play for Dortmund or something?
Yeah, the like Turkish centre mid.
Am I butchering that? Let me see. Can I find him? Nuri Sahin. Yeah, he has a. I think it's an error card. He has a coach card.
Oh,
but like one of them.
I didn't even know that he was a coach. I thought he was still
unless
playing.
It was like unless he was a coach for a game or something, and I missed that, and that was like a nice thing for the club or whatever. But like, I think he has one card, 124 of 1,000. But yeah, on that question, I think it's an awkward one. I think legends will be legends. I think retired players will have their utility. Coaches will have utility. I think they muddy the waters about reclassing players and what constitutes a coach and what doesn't and stuff like or a legend. So I don't know. SoRare Marker, I don't know if you have an opinion on this. Why is there such a large disparity between the American prize pool and other leagues, and how can SoRare rectify this? I've seen a few people talk about this week. Have you followed it?
I don't play America, so I don't really pay attention to the prize pools.
I'm the same.
I assume it's something to do with cards coming out and whatever. Like,
yeah,
the prize pools, there are people in the community that are all over it, so I'll leave it to them. But like, I just play the leagues that I play, regardless of the prizes.
So, like, to look at the rare divisions, for example, we'll leave out the like all stars and under 23s. In Champion Europe, there's 265 rares. In Challenger Europe, there's 365. In America, there's 150. Now, if you go to the pro divisions, in Champion Pro, you're looking 45, Challenger 61, America Pro's 25. Asia's got even less.
Yeah,
I think like
20 in Asia usually.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I actually don't know the answer. I'm not going to try and bluff this one. I don't play America. I'm going to start playing America now that my Brazilian cards are coming back in. So I'll maybe be focusing a bit more. In fact, I probably won't be playing America outside Limited. But I assume it's down to like end of the seasons for some cards maybe haven't come out. Maybe a lot of guys aren't playing. There's probably a really easy answer to this that someone's screaming at the podcast, and I'm sorry that I don't have it. I haven't followed that, but I did see a bit of bitching about it. So I don't know how they rectify it. Fix their reward system.
Yeah, I mean one that people have been saying for ages. Fix the rewards. It's not something I get super bothered about. Like, they give out the rewards, and you decide to enter or not. And if you're unhappy with them, don't enter or move your cards around or sell your cards.
I mean, it does kind of beg the question around, like, if you look at Champion Europe at the minute as it stands on a Wednesday evening, there's 1,400 entrants into Champion Europe, 1,800 into Challenger Europe, and 1,400 into America. And the rewards, they just aren't there. So percentage-wise, I mean, it is a harder gig. Like, so maybe more people would enter America as well if the rewards were better. I'd say a lot of those American cards are being shifted to All-Star, which maybe makes it more competitive. So I don't know. There's a lot to think about there. We'll maybe take one more question here, Rob, and then we'll move. Is there anything you wanted to answer in particular? I have one here for you, but have a think, because if there's one you want to answer, we can get to it. But Vespasian asks, did your love for Asian football precede SoRare? And during the Asian off-season, do you bother with Europe at all, or just consolidate as gallery? Well, we know the answer in terms of Europe, but did your love for Asia precede?
So yeah, like, SoRare? I always loved the jerseys, and that kind of got me into J League specifically. And then again, I went on holiday to Japan and was like, "Oh, this is cool." And then found SoRare, and like I knew a couple of the top teams, like because of the jerseys and stuff, but I didn't really follow the league. And then because of SoRare, I got into it. Basically, that's the long and the short of the story. But yeah, in terms of Europe, with the when I joined, European cards were kind of on the decline, so I thought it was a good time to kind of build a European team next season in Rare. And I always like to play throughout the year, so I have a Rare European team that I put into All-Star, occasionally Challenger, and then I have like a limited a European team as well. A lot of the same players in Rare and limited because it's easier to follow for transfer news and injury news.
Cool. Is there any question you'd like to answer? I'm going to shout out to Modai of Headquarters, who says, "Where do I find these podcasts?" I hope you find us. There's been some lovely reviews recently. I'll maybe shout you out next week. I haven't got them in front of me, but I did see them during the week. So thanks to everyone who left a review. Please do if you haven't. Rob, is there a question there, or are you happy?
No, I mean, if there's anything there that's kind of different, that's not loyal related.
There's one here. Basically, people are giving you a lot of shit about a player. Do you want to tell us about him? Who's your most frustrating hold? I'll ask you it that way. That's from Youngie.
Most frustrating hold. Any of the Asian forwards this season. Injuries, rotation, COVID is going through Asia at the minute. So kind of finding a nailed Asia forward that's not kind of more than 0.25 or something is pretty tough. But I think long term they'll pay off because they'll come in, they'll score a goal, and I'll flip them. But yeah, I don't have any long term. Oh, I do have one actually. Teo Deforny. He was the goalkeeper at the end of the season for Eupen in Belgium, and going into the start of the new season, they got rid of their kind of first backup, and I was like, oh, this guy's definitely nailed on for next season. Got him for 0.2, and then like 3 days later, he was moving to the second tier, and I was like, well, that is so annoying. And then Pavel offered me 0.01, but they're in the relegation playoff now against Sarang. So fingers crossed he gets promoted, and then I've got another challenger keeper for next season.
Fingers crossed, Jesus. A good question here, actually, from Orange Fly. What about Asian football allows for defender AA scores to be so high? You said you think you have an answer.
Oh yeah. So that's a great question. Interceptions. The Asian league is quite hectic. There's a lot of possession change. There's a couple of teams who dominate possession, and then defenders don't score too highly. But there's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of defensive actions, and there's a lot of room for interceptions. Interceptions are like 3 points or something on the matrix. Like one of my players got like 9 interceptions last game week and had a pretty average game other than that. But it's just the number of turnovers that you get in kind of the offensive third, I think, really helps.
Yeah, that's a great answer. That's very interesting, actually. There's a bit of shit seems to be coming in here about Gedson. Is that you, or is that someone else related?
I don't hold Gedson, but I think
no, you don't because of the under-23s. But
yeah, but like some people think he's kind of the best midfielder on the platform or overhyped, and some people have like he's got a bit of a cult following, I think.
Yeah, I have a limited in him, but he hasn't done great recently. But he has a big AA in him whenever he plays well. Look, we'll wrap up with the 137 game. Everyone, if you're staying around, brilliant. If you're not, please do like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and please do just leave us a review and subscribe if you're listening on podcast audio only form. Now, last week's 137, Jay Fraz, he picked Vanaken and Charles de Ketelaere, and he put up a whopping 165.2. Part of me does think this game might be more exciting if we aim for high scores, but we're not. We're aiming for 137 because this is brought to you by 137 PM. So, Rob, give me 2 players for the upcoming game week 260 that you think could hit 137 points between them.
So they have to be obviously Asian players. I'm going to go for a Sanfrecce Hiroshima defensive stack that I hold. which is Sho Sasaki. And
I'm going over to your gallery here just to what was the team?
Sanfrecce Hiroshima, the two defenders.
Okay, yeah. So Sho Sasaki, is it?
Yeah, and Hayato Araki.
Sho Sasaki and Hayato Araki.
Yeah. They've got a nice fixture against Avispa this weekend at home, hoping for 2 clean sheets, a few defensive actions, 65 points each.
Love it.
They'll have a lot of possession.
Let's hope. If you get 65 points each, you won't be far off. So good luck. Rob, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Would you like to be found anywhere or plug anything?
On Twitter, happy to answer any DMs. Maybe if it gets up to 300 DMs, I might have to start a Patreon, but no, happy to answer any DMs, Asian football or anything.
Fair play. It's Rob Marshall. Rob Marshall. It'll be in the title. _19. Why 19? Were you 19 when you made Twitter? Probably not.
No, it's the number that Messi wore at Barca before he was number 10, and this was just he's a great player. That's a great number, and then he changed his jersey, but it just stuck.
That's a great pub quiz question, that isn't it?
Yeah.
What was Messi's number before he got number 10? Brilliant. Well, look, guys, thanks for listening. Rob, thanks for your time, and we'll see you again next week. That's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. It was an absolute pleasure meeting Rob. Thanks a million to him for his time. Before you head out the door, please don't forget to click subscribe, and you can always go back and binge some of the other episodes from the previous weeks. They're all on this channel. We'll see you next week for another great guest. Bye-bye.